Life happens fast. And in an instant, disaster could strike. When the choices you make mean the difference between life and death, what would you do? Put yourself to the test and see if you have what it takes to stay alive. Would you do or die? It's the #1 killer on winter roads in the U.S., claiming more than twice as many lives most years than severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and hurricanes combined. It's ice. And when it forms on the cold asphalt, it blends in perfectly, making the road smooth, slick, and dangerous. So imagine how terrifying it must be for this trucker when he hits his brakes and just keeps going. Now, jump inside the cab and take the wheel. Would you know how to survive this icy skid? What would you do? A. Keep your eyes out for hazards and accelerate to reestablish your grip. B. Apply slow, constant pressure to the brakes. Or C. Let off the gas and let your back wheels lead the way. Here's what you should consider. You're at the helm of an 18-wheeler, skidding across the interstate with virtually no control. How did this happen? In the seconds before your wheels hit the ice, they maintain traction with a force known as static friction. It's the grip that forms where the tire meets the road. At the point of contact, the grooves in your treads interlock with the irregular surface of the asphalt, like gears in a transmission. But the moment the wheels hit the ice, the rugged surface of the road becomes smooth, and most of that static friction disappears. You may as well be driving on an oil slick. You need to do something to stop the skid. But what? In this case, under the hood, you have an engine with more than 400 horsepower, strong enough to haul 40 tons of weight across the interstate at 65 miles per hour. And then there's the truck's anti-lock braking system. Found in most modern cars, anti-lock brakes use sensors at the wheel's axles to detect a sudden change in speed and prevent your wheels from locking up. Just letting it slide is not an option. It's time to make your choice. A. B. Or C. So, what would you do? If you're concerned about your forward momentum, you might be tempted to put your foot down, applying slow, constant pressure to your brakes. But even in the best conditions, it can take a fully loaded semi going 55 miles per hour over 100 yards to stop. Add ice into the equation, and it can be 9 times longer. The length of 11 New York City blocks. And that's if your brakes have any stopping power at all. Chances are, hitting the brakes on ice will lock up your wheels completely. Suddenly, your 18 tires might as well be hockey pucks. And if you think you can rely on your anti-lock brakes, think again. No matter the size of the vehicle, on ice, even this safety feature can fail to stop your wheels from locking up. Hit the brakes, and you're speeding toward trouble. So if your wheels need to be spinning in order to get traction, you could jumpstart that process by tapping on the gas while keeping your eyes out for hazards. But hitting your gas could make your tires spin in place. And when they do regrip the road, you'll rocket straight toward whatever's in front of you. And an 80,000-pound truck crashing at 55 miles per hour generates the same catastrophic force as a four-door sedan traveling 5 times that speed. As for keeping your eyes on the hazards ahead, bad idea. It may sound strange, but experts advise never focus on what you don't want to hit. It's a phenomenon known as target fixation, where drivers inadvertently steer toward what they're staring at. That's one reason why police officers usually approach cars pulled over on busy highways from the passenger side. Hit the gas while staring at hazards, and you're racing straight for impending doom. So what should you do? Whether you're in an 80,000-pound semi or an 1,800-pound smart car, if you hit ice, take your foot off the gas and let your back tires lead the way. By letting up on the gas, you'll automatically reduce your speed. And that alone could be enough to regain control. If not, continue to gently steer the wheel in the direction your back tires are skidding. You may have to do it several times as your rear end swings back and forth. But ultimately, you'll be able to maintain control until the patch of ice ends. The driver of this truck handled his skid like a pro, gently easing the wheel back and forth with his foot off the accelerator until he regained control. If you want to survive the #1 killer on winter roads, follow his lead and steer clear of disaster. So you've careened the icy roads of death and lived to tell the tale. Maybe a walk down a woodsy North Carolina road will warm you up. But don't let your guard down. There's a killer here that's cold-blooded. Unprovoked alligator attacks are rare. But being in the wrong place at the wrong time can turn deadly in the blink of an eye. One reptile expert is about to learn that the hard way. There's a large, menacing alligator lying in a ditch, just feet from residential homes. The man moves in to help. Hoping to calm the alligator, he throws a towel over its eyes. But this gator is anything but calm. Now, put yourself in his place. You're face to face with 250 pounds of jaw-snapping fury. What would you do? A. Grab the alligator by its tail. B. Fight for your life and attack its eyes. Or C. Turn your back to the alligator and sprint away in a straight line. Here's what you should consider. You've just felt the bite of an alligator. You've fallen down, and now you're staring into the jaws of death. With up to 80 razor-sharp teeth, alligators are nature's perfect predator. Its tail makes up nearly half of its body length and is covered with an armor of bony ridges called osteoderms. But there's one area vulnerable to injury: its eyes. And if it can't see, it can't hunt. Gators lunge at their prey with breathtaking speed and agility. Get too close, and you're gator chow. Alligators can bite with an astonishing 2,000 pounds of force. To avoid this vicious bite, alligator wrestlers usually approach from behind, sometimes pulling them by their tails, because gators can't see directly behind them. The clock is ticking. Make your choice. A. B. Or C. So what would you do? If you think you can avoid the gator's jaws by getting out of its sights, you could approach it from behind and grab it by the tail. After all, alligator wranglers do it. Why shouldn't you? Because even they know, pull these ferocious animals by the tail, and they'll curve their body into a C shape. Putting you within inches of the gator's snapping jaws. Pull this reptile by the tail, and you could find yourself pushing up daisies. So if getting some tail is the wrong approach, maybe it's time to show a little muscle and use whatever's in reach to attack the reptile's eyes. While it's true that this is the armor-clad gator's most sensitive area, getting close to its eyes means getting close to its teeth. Too close, and you could find yourself the victim of its killer death roll. A tactic used by alligators to tear large chunks of flesh off its prey. Get caught in this spinning nightmare and wind up sleeping with the fishes. So what should you do? If you want to survive this alligator attack, the best thing to do is turn your back and sprint away in a straight line. Alligators are shockingly fast, but they're not exactly endurance athletes. While they can hit a top speed of 10 miles per hour, they can't sustain that pace for very long, making gators the rare predator that humans can actually outrun. But even if this one had the speed to catch you, it doesn't want to. Alligators are territorial in nature, and an aggressive one could be more interested in running you off than running you down. In this case, the gator took a bite, then let go. It was only a warning and a once-in-a-lifetime chance for the man to get away. He was lucky, but you can't always count on luck. If you want to survive a face-off with a gator, turn your back and run a mile. That's what you do if you want to escape the jaws of death. So you've managed to make it through an alligator attack in one piece. Now it's time to take a load off and let a machine do the work for you. But watch your step. You never know when the bottom might drop out from under you. October 30th, 2010. A major rally in Washington, D.C. creates the busiest Saturday ridership in Metro Rail history. Hordes of people push onto the crowded escalators at l'Enfant Plaza. It should be the most uneventful part of their day. Instead, it's about to become a nightmare they'll never forget. A malfunction suddenly causes the escalator to speed up. And then, the brakes fail. It's an onslaught of falling bodies. This is where you come in. We're taking you back to the moment before the disaster and putting you at the top of the escalator. What would you do? A. Crouch down and tuck your limbs close to your body. B. Get to the railing and jump. Or C. Get above the crowd by riding the rail down. Here's what you should consider. You're standing on an escalator. The brakes have failed. And you're in danger of being crushed by a mass of falling bodies. Emergency rooms treat around 10,000 escalator-related injuries each year. Designed to provide stability, rubber handrails loop around a series of wheels and are driven by a powerful electric motor. Falls on the moving steps and over the handrails account for 75% of all injuries. And nearly 1/3 of those that go over the railings are fatal. The escalator is falling fast. Make your choice. A. B. Or C. So what would you do? If your biggest concern is protecting yourself from the falling people, you might try to avoid injury by crouching down and tucking your limbs close to your body. But in a free-falling vertical stampede like this, crouching down could put you at the bottom of the pileup. And if you're pinned beneath just 10 average-sized adults, the weight pressing down on you would be over 1,000 pounds, like being crushed by a grand piano. So if you're worried about being squashed by the crowd, you could try to get above it all by riding the rail to the bottom. There's just one problem. The rail you're trying to ride is connected to the same motor powering the steps. So they're moving at the exact same breakneck speed. Even if you're able to hold on till the bottom, you're likely to get flung right onto the hard tile floor. Decide to ride the rail, and you're taking the express route to pain. So what should you do? If you want to survive this runaway escalator, your best option is to get away from the stream of falling bodies. Get to the side and jump the handrail. However, if you find yourself on a failing escalator with steep drop-offs on either side, make sure to wait until you're at a safe height. Though 16 people were injured in this incident, luckily, everyone made it out alive. If you want to survive this runaway escalator, get to the railing and jump. That's what you do if you don't want to die.